Welcome, all fellow wannabes. Welcome to the show. You are listening to the Wannabe Critic podcast. I am one of your hosts, Gabriel Fast, and tonight it is a very, very special episode. Why, you might ask? Well, if you're watching this right now, you can see we have 8 people on tonight's episode, which we're going to see how it's going to go. If we can make this happen, and it's good, then we can do anything. You know what I mean? And honestly, tonight's episode is devoted to the ladies that let us talk about nonsense, far more than we should. So tonight, the hosts of the Wannabe Critic podcast are, in fact, we're having our spouses on. So, of course, to my right here is my lovely wife, Emma. So, Emma, it's good to see you. How are you doing?
Good to see you. I haven't seen you all day.
I know. We've been just doing our separate ways, doing our own thing.
Just kidding. I mean? We actually live together. So I have seen you.
Yeah, I mean, but no quality time. You know what I mean? It has to be more like...
This is quality time.
Yeah, this is quality time.
Good to see you, Gabe.
Good to see you too, Emma. I'm so happy. This is a guy and his wife too, in the flesh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
It's good stuff. Also joining us, we have Mikey and Zoe Collins. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Good.
Mikey, did you just get home from work?
Kinda, not really.
You had your bandana on, your mask around the neck, and I was like, he's so rugged. You know what I mean? He showed up, and I just didn't know if you had just gotten home. But so what you're saying is you actually got home a while ago, but you haven't showered yet.
Yeah.
I haven't showered in months, so I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah.
More like Zoe just got home from work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did just get home from work.
Yeah. Zoe, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited.
You ready to talk some Star Wars?
Heck yeah.
Okay, good. And now also joining us, we have Rex and Selena Tucker. How are you guys feeling?
Good.
Feeling good, man. How are you?
I mean, I can't complain. I have several beverages in front of me right now, and all my best friends. Several. Dude, here's the thing. If you are ever doing anything and you don't have more than one beverage in front of you, you're doing it wrong. I'm just saying,
I don't know why. I have 2.
Okay, well, I'm proud of you.
He has 2 because he stole one of mine. So.
Oh, awesome. Selena, this is their first time. I feel like you kind of came in one time to say hi whenever we were recording Midnight Club episodes, and you were just like, hey, and I was like, oh, Selena's there. You know what I mean? But how are you feeling?
I'm doing good.
Good. Yeah. It's good to see you. It's good to see. Everyone's got their own thing going on tonight. You know what I mean? Like the Tuckers, they have the teal. The Collinses, they have the blue going on. We have a bunch of stuff going on over here. And then gonna throw it to the Henleys, who have the best looking backdrop out of all of us, to be honest. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Good. Yeah.
Good.
We're happy to be here. I have 2 drinks in front of me. So apparently I'm Gabe Fast approved. So this is good.
Hey, you get my stamp of approval, and now you get a discount on a sweatshirt. So look at you go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No, I'm just kidding. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it is a big panel this evening, and I'm excited. This is kind of a challenge in a way, because I mean, it's a lot of people. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to kind of go couple by couple. And obviously this newest episode of The Mandalorian has been generating quite a bit of buzz around the internet, has been generating a lot of talks, amongst the youngsters. And does anyone know what this freaking thing is called? Because I don't.
The Siege.
The Siege, because Emma just watched it. She just finished it 10 minutes ago. So
for the second time.
Yeah, for the second time. So there you go. Okay, so season 2, episode 4 or / chapter 13 at this point. 12, 13.
Math is hard.
It really is. It is 12. Okay, cool. Chapter 12, The Siege. Here we are. So the way it's going to go tonight is we're just going to kind of me and Emma I'm going to give a brief overview of the episode. Then me and Emma will kick things off, kind of giving our highs and lows, of kind of what we thought. If anyone wants to chime in while we're talking, just do your thing. Just kind of if I see one of you say something, I'm going to call you out on camera. So just be ready. So basically, nothing really happened this episode except for we figured out that Snoke was kind of, I guess it's Snoke. I'm assuming it's Snoke. There were some tests being run, in a Snoke facility. The child and the Mandalorian, they go back to Navarro to get the ship repaired. We see June, what's her head? Can't really remember what her name is, but she's now the warden of Navarro. And Carl Weathers is kind of running things on Navarro, which, fun fact for you, Carl Weathers did, in fact, direct this episode.
Wow.
Chubbs knows Chubbs knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? Except he lost that hand to that alligator all those years ago.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick, Chubbs. But that actually kind of surprised me whenever I saw that in the credits. I was like, Carl Weathers, look at him go.
Wait, that's him from Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Chubbs / Apollo Creed. Rocky series, anybody? But honestly, we had a little bit of cuteness from the Baby Yoda, but there are things across the episode that were pretty cool. And but I think the biggest thing was, in fact, whenever they storm the lab, is basically what we learn it was there on Navarro, and it looked like Snoke, failed experiments of Snoke, because had like the head that kind of was indented. I think that's what they were hinting at. But basically, Chubbs, June, and the Mando, they go to invade this lab, and they basically push everybody out of the lab, and that's pretty much what happens in the episode. And Baby Yoda is in school the whole time, being adorable, and he throws up on himself. So that's about everything that happens. So we're gonna kind of give our takes across the board, and then we'll have a little bit of speculation at the end of the episode. So just to kind of kick things off, since we're already here, Emma, what did you think of this episode?
So I freaking loved this episode. Like, I really did. I loved this episode. Like you were saying, there was... Okay, first off, I don't know whether to call him the child or Baby Yoda. I feel like I'm going to piss someone off either way, like whatever I call him. I'm going to try to be more technical and call him the child. There was like way too much cuteness with the child this episode. First off, just like first scene with him helping the Mandalorian with the wires, like that could not have been cuter. And he was just like, meh, like she was so cute. and then when he goes to that school and that kid next to him has macarons, and yes, it's macarons. It's not macaroons.
Okay,
it's fine.
Yeah, I wasn't. I'm just enthralled with you speaking. So.
Yeah, and then he uses the Force to get the macarons from that kid. That was dope. I was like, you go, Baby Yoda, or the child.
I like whenever
get those macarons.
That kid, he's like reaching for him, and the guy's like, he has like macaron on the corner of his mouth, and he's like, no, it reminded me of Napoleon Dynamite. Like, someone should spoof that. Or he's like, no, go find your own. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's kind of what like the vibes I was getting. I've watched this episode 4 times. So
what?
I watched it again today.
Oh,
so,
wow, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, but anyways.
And then coming full circle, continuing with the child cuteness, like at the end of the episode, and they're in the ship. He's back in the ship with the Mandalorian, and he's eating those macarons, and then he's like, woo, with his arms up in the air. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Moving on from the child, though, like I said, I love this episode. There were a lot of really like good high points for me. I loved the moment when, like, after they've infiltrated that lab or whatever, and the Mandalorian escapes out of the top of the lava pit, and he just like shoots out of the lava pit and just like shoots those 2 stormtroopers just like immediately. I was like, no way, that is so dope. And then like another like theme that I really liked in this episode is at the beginning of the show, like season 1, he was obviously really standoffish with the child and like just kind of treating him as not anything special, really, just kind of. But like this episode, like with the way he was talking to the child, like with the wires, he was like really like talking to him like he was like his baby. And like then at the end, like when he spit up, he like wiped his spit up off. That was so cute. Like he's turning into like a dad figure, I feel like.
Daddy Mando.
Yeah, Daddy Mando, dude. I'm loving it. Like he's like because we've seen this whole progression of him kind of becoming more and more attached to the child, and I really liked that.
Well done.
So sorry, that was a lot.
No, that was good. That was good. I feel like that was perfect.
Okay.
Like well summed up. Yeah, And I agree. It's kind of like a weird mix of like a father figure combined with like a buddy cop movie in a lot of ways. Like whenever I watch these episodes. Caleb and Emily, are you guys drinking blue milk? That's what it
Yeah, in the
looks like.
spirit of Star Wars.
Wow, that's
It's
amazing.
a
So
baby Yoda throw up.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you want to throw up, dude.
Plot twist, that's where blue milk comes from. It doesn't come out of those like weird creatures. But yeah. Oh,
Ugh.
was there any like lows for you, Emma, in this episode?
Dude, I couldn't think of any lows to point out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
That's just me personally. I'm sure you guys have different opinions, but
Okay. Well done. All right. Now we're going to throw it to the Collins. You guys are going first. And it's worth pointing out that one Zoe Collins is, in fact, the host of the hit show on the Wannabe Critic podcast feed, Nostalgia Trip. So, Zoe, we're going to start with you. We want to hear the highs and lows, what you thought of the episode overall, but I want you to kind of give us your background. So the show started with Star Wars. That's what it's like. Me and Jace, we were talking about Star Wars, and that's where it started. So Star Wars is huge to us here on the show. So you need to tell us what your background is with Star Wars, and like, do you like full on nerd out about it, or just don't skimp any details. Just let us know.
All right. I'll go for it. So we were actually talking about this earlier because I listened to the previous Mandalorian review, and Emma was saying she wasn't quite in on all the details and secrets because she hasn't watched all the stuff. I've watched pretty much everything. I mean, I started out as a 2-year-old with the VHS tapes of the original trilogy and saw the prequels with my dad in the theaters, seen Clone Wars, seen Rebels, played all the Lego video games. So I'm pretty well versed, I think, in Star Wars, but The Mandalorian's the first thing I've actually liked. So
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if I'm qualified
Mikey, get
just
her out
because
of
I
here.
watch it, but no, I love The Mandalorian. It's the first thing I've actually connected to and personally liked. I think a lot of my Star Wars knowledge has just been, it's Star Wars, so I have to, So
I have to
I'm
ask.
actually.
Yeah, no, and I think I have to ask, like, is it kind of like the grounded feeling that the show gives you that makes you like it more? Like, it's not so fantastical, like space wizards and laser swords.
I'm gonna get
all that.
so much hate for this, but I like it because there hasn't been any Jedi in it yet.
I respect that, honestly. Like, and honestly, like, that just kind of goes to show how cool Star Wars can be. Because what have I always said, gentlemen? It's always been Star Wars means different things to other people, to different things to different people. And the fact that they brought something in like very un-Jedi-esque, it's just bringing more people into the Star Wars fold. So I appreciate you. I appreciate that take. I like that take, Zoe. That's
Just
good.
being honest.
That's great. So why don't you kind of give us your overview of the episode? What was your overall feeling about it? Can you kind of change it up for us and like maybe start with something you didn't like?
Oh, easily. So I loved all the Baby Yoda cuteness. I mean, that's great. I'll take that all day. I didn't like this episode as much coming from the one that they released previously. The last one was awesome, and seeing the whole Mandalorian gang together was just the coolest thing ever. So to go from that to this, it just didn't have the same effect for me. But it was obviously essential to the story. We got the whole lab preview and Snoke and bringing Moff Gideon back into it. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but they saved it with all the Baby Yoda, I guess.
So Baby Yoda was basically the high points for you.
High point for me.
Okay. All right. You strike me as a person that would be, what's her name, Caleb? June, what's her head? What's her last name? Do you know? Does anyone care? I have to ask.
I think it's Cara Dune. I'm pretty sure it is.
Cara
Yeah.
Dune.
Okay.
Cara Dune.
So are you a Cara Dune fan at all, Zoe?
Yeah, I do like her. I liked her in this. I think her role in the town was a neat take on it. And the kind of how it ended with what's it called? The orange jumpsuit guy, what is he in?
X-Wing pilot.
Yeah, but what's the new organization or the
The new Republic.
New
Yeah.
Republic when he was kind of trying to recruit her. That's going to be interesting to see where it goes because it kind of left it on a cliffhanger there.
Yeah, and shout out to Caleb because he is like, hey, we may see those pilots again from episode 2. And sure enough, here they are showing up 2 episodes later. So there you go. So awesome. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add before we move on to Michael Anthony Paul Collins, the man with 2 middle names?
Said it wrong. He's your cousin and you don't know his name?
Oh, Anthony.
I hate him. So it's
We were brothers once.
I mean, I think that's it. It was very political, in my opinion. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. And I mean, the New Republic seems like they're kind of getting in the way of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see the turn that takes if we keep rooting for them. Or
I agree with that, and we might come back to that a little bit later if I can remember, because that's something I think in the new trilogy a lot of people don't like is kind of the mix up with the good and bad lines being blurred a little bit in the new trilogy. So we might come back to that. But Mikey, let's throw it to you for a little bit. Give us what'd you think of this episode?
To be honest, it's kind of like watching The Mandalorian for the first time for me, but not because of the episode. We actually just set up our first surround sound system. So I was like, oh, the whole time. And so I really enjoyed it. I watched it twice, and both times I was like, this is really cool. But at the same time, I wasn't paying attention to it really much until basically the very end, the chase scene. That was probably my favorite part. As soon as the what's the troopers that ride the speeders? Speeder troopers? Is there a technical?
I think those are scout troopers.
Scout troopers. As soon as they went like MX versus ATV off the edge of the cliff,
Yes,
that was all sweet.
It was giving me. I was like, oh my god, this is giving me. I'm like, this is freaking Star Wars, is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
There we go.
That was a cool shot.
That was awesome. One thing I didn't like about that though, it was dope, but then 2 of them just immediately died. I was like,
that was
if you knew there was a chance of that, why did you do that?
In true Stormtrooper fashion, almost though, because like it's like, of course, one of them is gonna die. Like
It was like
time's up, I'm bored, Leroy. Like you know, that's literally what it felt like.
they were all like aim for the bushes and the other guys. It was
much.
like, why?
Well, I just thought of
But-
like a comedic moment. Like, what if Sabotage started playing like in that moment?
Yeah.
Whenever they like, but I was like,
Yeah,
oh my god, this
exactly.
is so dope. But then they crashed immediately. I was like, and like the
Yeah.
record could scratch. You know, I was like, oh no,
Mhm.
they suck. You know,
Yeah,
so
but I liked it. It's the Mandalorian. It's awesome, you know. But I'm waiting for more story. Coming from a person like we just went through the Clone Wars and are doing Rebels, like I just want to see more story more. But I really enjoy, just like Zoe, anything with Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian. I love their connection. And then it makes me want to know more of the backstory of what's her name?
Cara Dune.
Cara Dune. Yeah, I actually am interested to see because I don't know if they would do her own show, but I was kind of getting that vibe a little bit, I don't know, because
Give
like
her
if she
books.
does that, if she would go with the rebellion, she wouldn't be associated with Mando at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, what's cool is they could put her like if she ends up, I don't know, if she ends up being with the rebellion, like they could put her in squadrons, or they could put her in a spin-off like book series or something like that. Like that's the beautiful thing about Star Wars is all this like all these different mediums just kind of talk to each other, which is pretty awesome. So, but yeah, I'm right there with you. Mikey, you just bring solid takes to the table. You make me better. You understand me? Don't you ever forget it.
Aw.
Yeah, pat him on his head. His cute little head, Zoe. That's good. All right. Anything else from you, Mikey? Okay, good. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's throw it to the Tucker family. You guys are just, God bless you both.
They're like models.
You're like the model.
okay.
Like Rex, you're just, I'm going to use the word, all right? You're straight up sexy. You understand me? And I wish I was you, all right? I'm just fat. Like I'm a fatty. I can't help it. I like to eat. Okay.
Okay, someone
Stop
No.
it, Gabe. You're making
Yeah,
me blush.
I'll be the fat friend. I don't care. I'll be the Will Ferrell in the circle. You know what I mean? But no, it's good to see you both. Selena, I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. We're gonna start with you, actually. So, are
Alright.
you like a big Star? Here's the deal. I have never heard you like nerd out or geek out about anything ever, except your jewelry. You have Mahina Kai, your jewelry business. So, I
Yeah.
mean, what does Star Wars mean to you? Like, are you a closeted Star Wars geek, and we haven't connected on this level and bonded here? And Rex, you douche, if that's the case, you know what I mean? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I really like Star Wars. I didn't really grow up with it. Like we had one of the prequels, the one where like Anakin's a baby or a little kid. We had that movie and I vaguely remember it. And I had like a coloring book with Jar Jar Binks as a kid. But that's like it. And then when we got married, we actually had Emma over and we were talking about how I'd never seen Star Wars. And they were like, we're doing a marathon. We have to watch it all. So then after that point, like since we've been married, I've seen all the Star Wars, not all the like offshoots like some of you guys have, but I really enjoy it. And I think too, seeing Star Wars Land was a really cool thing too. It just made you feel more like, I don't know, it helps you to see a lot of the little detail in Star Wars.
Like more
being
immersive?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Literally, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you build a lightsaber?
I don't think I am that level of a fan. Like I couldn't pay that money to build a lightsaber. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed looking at them, but
Gabe's offended.
Selena, Rex, get her out of here. That's two in a row.
We couldn't. They were like sold out.
yeah, they also
anyways.
didn't have any.
Are you serious?
Dang.
Yeah.
Just led with that way. I couldn't.
I couldn't
Well, I
buy it.
forgot.
I'm like,
I was just like,
no,
oh,
it's
these
okay.
are cool,
Fine.
but do I want one?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Also, they were like $200.
Yeah, they're really expensive. It's not just like $50.
Worth it. Worth it. All right. No.
Selena's honest. That's why I love her.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're here. You know what, you guys? I am just gonna say it right now. This is really fun. We need to do this more often. You know what I mean? But before I digress too much, what did you think of this episode, Selena?
I'm kind of on the same line as Zoe. Wasn't my favorite. Like I didn't hate it, but it wasn't my favorite episode. I feel like the ones we've had this season were really I don't know, just better, like the better storylines. And this one was kind of just weird. And there wasn't much of a storyline. And then all of a sudden it was like, here's all this information that's coming to you, which is great. Like we know where we're going with the story, but during the episode until we got towards the end, I was like, what is happening? Like, what is happening with this episode? But
Where
it was-
are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on Navarro.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's I kind of agree with that in a lot of ways, honestly. I have to ask because you seem like the type of fan to where it's like you really like you really like Star Wars, but you're not like on the level of like you're gonna go out of your way to like learn about a specific thing. Like as it comes to you, you're kind of like, oh yeah, this is cool, this is awesome, but that it kind of stays at that. Am I kind of right in that way? Like
Yeah. Like if I had a couple questions after this episode and I just asked Rex, I'm like, what's this? I don't understand this.
right. And
Why
that-
is it happening?
that's what I wanted to say is like whenever you saw the tank where you're like kind of lost in a way where you kind of like first of all was Rex being like, oh dude, dope, like was he like kind of freaking out about that detail?
No,
Or-
it was silence. And I was just like, mental note for later.
Rex, how dare you not freak out at that
But I also am very like,
Oh, the tank. I thought you were talking about the vehicle. I was confused for a minute.
oh no
yeah, me
no
too.
no the
me
lab
too.
the
I was
lab
confused.
yeah sorry so okay I got it, dope. So whenever that happened though, were you kind of like lost? So since no one was really like Rex wasn't freaking out or anything, you were just basically like
I was definitely like making a face, by the way.
okay.
yeah, but I'm not staring at his face like while we're watching something.
Right, yeah.
But
because I get
I'm more of the person that's like, they're gonna tell me what it is. I don't need to know right this second. Like I'm okay with waiting, like not being a super fan and not knowing all the details. I don't need to then go Google what's happening. Like I'm okay with, I know they're gonna tell me.
Right.
So I'm okay with waiting.
Gotcha. But overall, did you like this episode okay?
Yeah, it was okay. I again wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate it.
Gotcha. Was there anything that was there any detail where you were like, oh, I don't really care for this particular thing?
Yeah, I felt like they were a little overly stop laughing. Overly just excessively mean to what's his name? The blue guy?
The Mithril.
It was like, we get you don't like him. Stop. It's too much. Like it's too much hate. Let's just calm it down a little bit. We got that in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it's just like
But it's
whenever he like shot out that, like whenever he saw Mando
The
and that
ink
stuff
thing?
come out of his gills, I was like, guys, you made me ink. I was like, that made me
Yeah.
audibly laugh every single time because just his face and like the way it cracked me up. But I kind of agree with that because honestly, I relate to that guy. I'm like, that guy's me. Like literally. That's how all my friends think of me. Like, dude, get out there and just do it. I'm like, I can't. It's not safe. Like, it's not safe. I can't do it.
That is true.
Literally
actually.
me. So there you go. But
Yeah. They're just like, okay, you can die. Goodbye.
thanks
It's
for
very dramatic. Like tone it down a bit.
Yeah. No. Well said. Well said. Solid take, Selena. You're welcome here anytime.
No, thanks.
Rex, what did you think? You enjoyed this episode, right?
Yeah, I was actually I'm kind of on Mikey's level. Like I really liked it. I thought it was great. But there was a few things that I think were off. I feel like this episode gave a lot and in certain areas and not much in others. Basically what I'm talking about is like the character dynamic between the trio of Kara, Grief, and Mando. It didn't connect as well as they did in the first season. And that may just be due to, certain things I think were overshadowing their relationship, and they're not in season 1, they were really in a dire situation. So it was kind of a bit different, but also like Mikey, my favorite scene was the speeder chase. And just how it was shot and everything I really liked. And of course at the towards the end with the Razor Crest and the fighting the TIE fighters, that was like pretty epic moment for me. And another thing I really liked about this episode was kind of like all the Easter eggs and all the different little things that were in it, and of course all the information that we got. They reference the midi-chlorians. They called it like
M count and M count.
Yeah, the M count, and it kind of makes you think a few things about that scene with the lab, and then the scene at the end. I don't know if you want to get into that now, but
yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait for the speculations part.
Yeah,
but honestly, I want to piggyback off what you said there for a second. Whenever I saw the tank, I was like, Dave Filoni and freaking Jon Favreau have balls of steel, literally. They literally took the new trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and we're in the time period of like the OG trilogy, basically, and they tied everything together. It's like, nope, if you like Mando, you gotta acknowledge that all this other stuff happened. Like, you can't know, you're not gonna dislike the sequel trilogy, or if you would dislike it, that's fine, but you're going to acknowledge that it's part of the story, and I love that they did that. Showing us Snoke the way like the way they did that, I was like, I love those guys. Awesome.
I have some speculation on that, but I'll wait for later. But
yeah, you just wait. You just put your weight pants on. You understand me?
He's too excited.
Just knowing that what they were doing with Baby Yoda, the child, injecting things with its blood, was like, there was a lot in this episode that they kind of hinted to, and so I really appreciated that. And the only negative I have is the character dynamic felt a little weak, but that's not, to me, it wasn't a big deal.
I can kind of get that, because it's like, it seems like they really overcame something huge in that season finale of season 1. And I was like, wow, these guys are really like tight now. And I guess I kind of took that for granted, or I just didn't really read that much into it, because it just felt like, it feels like the friendship of, like, take for instance, like my buddy Kyle. I love Kyle. He's like a brother, but I only talk to him like 3 times a year. But every single time I talk to him, it's like we pick up exactly where we left off.
Shout out to Kyle.
Shout out to Kyle, but he's not listening to this because he's a tool.
Oh, what the heck?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't, exactly. I don't know. But yeah, I get where you're coming from though. They should have acknowledged that relationship a little bit more, because it was kind of like, all right, Mando, you're here. Let's go do something. We need you to shoot some stuff.
Yeah, you didn't get much of a reunion, and
Yeah.
that I think that was mainly just overshadowed by everything that's happened this season and the previous, 3 episodes being so amazing.
Yeah.
And them just talking about Ahsoka Tano, and there's just so many other things. It just like, it didn't feel like a big deal.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It should have felt like a bigger deal, but it didn't. It did not feel like a reunion. It was like, hey, you taking care of that kid? All right, I'm Chubbs. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
like, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, yeah, I agree. Well, good takes from the Tucker family. What do you think, Emma? Emma's my like, if I feel like we're the 2 announcers at the pod race from
Yeah,
Phantom
totally.
Menace. They're like, all right, young Skywalker's coming through. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's going good. Solid takes across the board. I love it. All right. Last but not least, for the takes of the evening, we have, before we open it up to the broad speculation discussion, we have the one and only Henley family.
Wait, just so all the listeners know, I used to be a Henley once.
You were a Henley at one point, but
I
then
was
you,
a Henley before I was a Fast.
you sure were.
And that ginger sitting right there is my big brother.
Yeah. What do you know? It's a small world.
What the heck? This is crazy. How did you even? How are we even here right now? This is
I
crazy.
don't know.
I don't know. Modern technology, advancements. You know what I mean? It's like Mass Effect.
I still can't believe that I'm doing a podcast with the guy that married my sister.
Yeah, right.
I
know.
honestly, every single time you show up, Caleb, I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like literally every time. It's the best.
Family. It's family.
Yeah, we're
time.
family. You're my. You
I'm-
you are
I'm
the
excited
brother.
to see her.
Yeah, it's literally like you're like the brother that I never even knew I wanted. Because like Mikey and Carter are
You're dumb.
brothers, but we're it's. I'm gonna start.
But you've
crying.
never had a ginger brother.
I've never had a ginger brother. I've never had a brother that had no soul. You know what I mean? So
Special kind of brother.
yeah, exactly. It's a
Okay.
special relationship.
sorry.
So-
We're
No,
getting-
Emma.
I'm excited to see Caleb go last, finally.
Yeah, well, Caleb, listen, the Wannabe Critic podcast would not be here without one Caleb Henley. And that's just the
Aw.
fact of the matter. I approached Caleb and I was like, "Hey, man, you want to talk about Avengers?" And he was like, "I don't know, you're a tool." But and he ended up doing it anyways. You know what I mean? And then before we know it, start doing week after week after week. And then I told him, because I run this thing. I said, "Caleb, we're adding Mikey. That's what's happening." And Caleb was like, okay. And then here we are now. You know what I mean?
a big happy family.
Yeah, and just before, really quick, we're over 5,000 streams because of Mikey and Caleb. So there you go.
Wow.
Rex,
You're awesome too.
You're awesome too, but it's not me or you, Rex, at this point. Like, you're brand new. I'm an idiot. They're only here for Mikey and Caleb. So,
I'm the afterthought, so
yeah, but honestly, Rex has become the glue that just holds us all together, and I'm just so
Aw.
happy. It's so cool to see this dynamic.
Wow, this is
So,
getting way too real.
I know. I don't want to cry. So here we go. The Henley family. I'm so happy to see you on the podcast, Emily. It's really cool. Honestly, I really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to give some Star Wars takes. So I know you kind of grew up in a nerdy family, but I don't know how big Star Wars was. I know Star Trek was like a really big thing in your family. We've talked about that before. And honestly, I'm kind of getting into that more. So who knows? Maybe one of these days we'll be having a Star Trek discussion. But, where does Star Wars kind of fit in your life?
Not very much. I
Caleb,
feel
get
like
her out
growing up. Yeah, I feel like we just watched lots of Star Trek. Like that was like what we watched for like with dinner every night. I don't know. And like even like one of my drawers, I have like a ton of little Star Trek figurines of like a little Worf and Captain Picard and yeah. Or even like when I was a teenager, like one of my friends like learned Klingon. Like I feel like Star Trek was just so much more of my life. I don't know. Not that I even know that much about it, so don't quiz me.
I don't
But,
know anything about it. I'm an idiot. So
I don't know. I'm like a relatively nerdy person, but like more or less like surfacey. like I don't know, I was like super into like Doctor Who, or like I used to love Firefly like a few years ago, or I've been to a Comic-Con once. So,
You're a bigger nerd than me.
Semi-nerdy.
And I've never been to Comic-Con. So there you go.
You're
So
probably the only one here that has, actually.
yeah, literally, you're inherently
No,
cooler than
I'm
all
sure
of us.
Rex and Selena have been to Comic-Con.
Have you guys been to
No.
Comic-Con?
Nope.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Emily, congratulations. You're
It
the
still
coolest.
felt like
I
that.
think that makes me the
Wow,
weirdest
I'm so
person
happy.
here.
So proud of you. That's amazing. So, okay. So are you the type of fan then whenever it comes to Star Wars, like, are you kind of in the same boat as Selena where it's like, as it comes to you, you're like, oh, cool. And then you don't think about it or like speculate or like really care that much, but it's like, oh yeah, in the moment it's kind of cool.
Yeah, like watched it. Like that was a nice movie. That's good. But yeah, like I probably don't know most of the characters' names, but I understand the plots mostly. Or like when we were dating, Caleb like insisted that I knew like the order of the Star Wars movies, so he like wrote them out, like which movie you're supposed to watch first, and like I don't know. I have a little piece of note in my wallet still of like the order of all the Star Wars movies.
Caleb,
I think it
I'm
was
proud of you.
how everyone in the Skywalker saga is related to
Oh,
each
is that
other.
what it was?
Yeah.
Caleb,
It was like a
cannot
nice
get more
family
game right
tree.
now. That's the best thing
Emma,
I've ever heard.
listen.
I'm just kidding.
Do
Totally
you know the
kidding.
movies? What are the Star Wars movies?
The
Exactly. Shut it.
1
Don't
through
feel
9.
bad. Don't feel bad.
I'm just
Caleb.
kidding. I'm
Emma's
totally
Emma's the lame one.
I have to be mean to my brother, okay? It's
Listen.
literally my purpose in life.
Okay, I understand. I do understand that actually. Okay, so Emily, what did you think of this episode? Like the highs and lows, just let it all out.
Well, I mentally didn't divvy this up in like what I liked most or least, but I did take notes because I was nervous about this. So I wrote down observations. Can I just talk about my observations?
You say whatever you
yes,
want. It is
observation.
this is your time. You understand
Okay,
me?
here we go. Observation number 1. So when Mando kind of lifted his helmet and he like drank a little, that was like the first little snippet, like he even slightly showed his face other than like with the robot. And it almost seemed like the child kind of like looked and like was kind of like amazed, like he hadn't seen that before. Do we feel like that's because Mando feels like the child is like his child, like he's like, we're family now? Or is that because of like the other Mandalorians in the last episode took off their helmets and maybe he's like, man, maybe I did grow up in like a religious sect. Maybe I am too strict. I don't know. I thought that was interesting that he like even slightly showed his face.
Are you did you just ask a question
Dude.
based off of an observation? Why do you not have your own podcast? You're
Dude.
perfect for this. This is great.
Yeah, I love that observation actually. I think it was a little bit of both personally. I think you're like spot on with that. And kind of goes along with what I was saying at the beginning of the episode. Like I think that he is truly beginning to feel like Baby Yoda is his child and like their family now. So
Well,
that's a cool observation. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do too. And like honestly, I haven't rewatched the first season of The Mandalorian, but I believe like since he's taken the child in as his own, basically, like they're part of like the same clan now at this point or something like that. And like he has a purpose now to deliver this kid to its own kind. But at this point in time, like basically he's under the same banners as the Mandalorian at this point. Is that right, Caleb? I know you. I'm only asking because I know you just watched the first season.
Yeah. No, I think technically he's he views the child as a foundling, but I don't think that necessarily means that he would show his face in front of him. Because I don't think that Mandalorian, like even in the Children of the Watch or whatever they're called, I don't think they show their faces to each other.
Gotcha. Okay.
Even though.
I just thought
See-
it was how they eat. I was like, wow, I finally get to see how he's eating something.
Yeah, totally.
Do it.
Yeah, no, that's good. And honestly, I hope they expound more on that. Honestly, at this point in time, The Mandalorian, this isn't even a question. We need a line of graphic novels and we need a line of books for The Mandalorian only, literally. Like so much lore can be explored there outside of just the show. But
Okay. We need to hear more.
I say I don't want to die. I don't
observations.
want to digress. Listen, this is my show. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I love you so much.
Also, Emily, Selena noticed the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about that. How Yoda was like, "What's up? What's under there?"
The fact that he
Just-
like looked curious.
Yeah,
was
just his little
not-
cute face. So cute. That's good. I appreciate you asking the question. What's your next observation? I'm curious.
Okay. This one's not as groundbreaking, but the blue character, when they were like, go fix the reactor, go push those buttons over there, like with the lava scene, and he like was like, there's no guardrail. I was like, why isn't there a guardrail? Is that just like poor craftsmanship? Was the person that like goes to that like little box to push the buttons, they like don't care about that guy?
I was talking to Mike. And Mikey literally said, what is it with Star Wars and never having guardrails? Like,
Yeah.
I like to live life on the edge.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, you think about it. Stormtroopers built that probably. They're like, yeah, we don't need one, man. It'll be awesome. It'll be the same stormtroopers that are like, going out and sabotaging the speeder bikes.
Don't stormtroopers have magnetic boots?
Do they? I mean, they're.
Well, I mean, I like from all the video games and like other stuff, they're walking around on the outside of like battleships. I forget what you call them. Like, yeah. You remember at the end of Battlefront 2?
That's a cool fun fact.
In the story, when they're fighting outside, like, and they have, I don't know. I always wondered about that.
If they do, that's a colossal waste of money because I've killed a lot of stormtroopers, and I mean a lot of them.
But I mean, maybe that's the reason there's no guardrails. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Only stormtroopers can operate that thing. But no, that's a good observation because it's the same thing in A New Hope. Every time I watch that, whenever they're on the Death Star, I'm like, this is so dangerous. Like you're speeding across a ravine. Like, no. What? Yeah, that's a great observation. So, what else you got?
And I just have one last small one. The hardcore chick with the half braid, the fighter girl, with the stripes. She's wearing so much makeup. I was like, she legit has like blush on and like a highlight and like mascara. I'm like, does she do her makeup in the morning? And which brought me to my next thought of like, how do people in the Star Wars universe like shower? Like, is there like a full shower like on this like, river crest? I was just like, or do all people in Star Wars just smell? My brain was like, oh, I've never seen like, I don't know.
Dude,
these are all good observations.
Dude, she went like full glam though, like for real. Like she watched some YouTube videos, she watched some freaking Jaclyn Hill, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going full glam today. It's a full glam day today." Yeah, that is so true.
I literally had the same thought though. Whenever I saw Carrie, like there's a shot whenever she's about to operate that tank thing. And like she's like, like she's like doing the thing and like flipping all the switches, and I'm like, I can see her pores, and she has a lot of makeup on. I literally thought
I can see her pores.
Like literally, dude, she had a lot of makeup on. I'm just saying, like you could like literally, maybe it was just because I have the TV, you know what I mean? But
yeah, no, wow, that's interesting.
I'm just saying, I was like, I had the same thought. I was like, she has a lot of makeup on. It's like she painted it on with a brush almost. You know what I mean?
Notice my pores?
Oh yeah.
You're supposed to say no.
No,
you don't have any
babe.
pores.
No, you're fine. No, you're silky smooth. So, did you have anything though that you didn't like about the episode though, Emily?
Well, those kind of were things I didn't like. Why is there no guardrail? I don't like that. Why so much makeup? I don't know.
Nice.
It was pretty good. It wasn't anything groundbreaking or revolutionary in this episode, but it's good. It was good watching.
I'm gonna save it for what. Yeah, I want to save what I have to say after Caleb says what he has to say. So, and I'm glad, Caleb. We're gonna throw it to you. Thank you so much for your takes, Emily, and thank you for your first appearance on the Wannabe Critic podcast. Just so you know, you did amazing. Well done. Well, solid takes. You got us all engaged. That's what the whole point is of podcasting. It's like. Usually it's me saying something to the other guys and then being like, you're an idiot. And then they say something that makes someone else mad and then they call the other person out. But you know what? You literally like melded us all together just then. So good job. Well done. Caleb, just give it to us. What do you think?
Oh gosh. Oh man. Okay. So where to start? No, I like this episode a lot. I think it's pretty good. There's not too much to really hate on. Both Rex and Mikey have talked about it, but that scene with the stinking scout troopers going over the edge is probably one of my favorite shot scenes in Star Wars. and like the explosions and how it just derails so fast. I thought that this episode does a really good job of just showing the incompetence of the Empire. Like whether it's that recklessness, whether it's just stormtroopers just getting mowed down just throughout the episode, whether it's not installing guardrails on anything ever. It's just the Empire is so incompetent that they're just destined to just lose. They're always going to be the ones that lose. They could have the most superior numbers in the world. They're just going to lose because they're incompetent. So I really like that. I'm curious to see where it goes kind of with the clones with Snoke and what that's going to do. I think that could really say a lot about the child. And I'm sure we'll probably get a little bit more into that as we start speculating. But I thought that was interesting. Not the most excited. I mean, that didn't really make me super excited, though, for any reason. I thought it did a little bit more just to tie the entire plot in together to where I think we were just going to start seeing bigger events as the season unfolds. And I think that's necessary, but it was fine. Yeah, Baby Yoda is awesome. And yeah, I think for something that I just didn't like, I'm just not a huge fan of Cara Dune. Like, I know that that's been something that a couple of people have liked, but I'm just not a huge fan. She just doesn't, I'm just not as interested. And, you know, that's been a thing for me with various Star Wars characters before. I wasn't a huge fan of Ahsoka when I first started watching Clone Wars, but she grew on me eventually. Maybe I'll have the same thing. But I think, you know, kind of, I can't remember which one of you guys said it, but it was Rex, where it just didn't seem like they had the same chemistry that they had in the previous season. I think she kind of, I think, took a lot of the blame of that for whatever reason. I don't know, it doesn't have as much feeling. Oh, yeah. And one other awesome thing, and I think somebody already said it, but the Razor Crest dogfighting, just give me more of that. It's so stinking cool. I loved it so much. The action scenes in this episode are just so perfectly shot. They are just really, really awesome. Whether it's, you know, the shootouts in the hallway or the scout troopers, the chases, the TIE fighters, all of it is just awesome. And I love it.
Well said, Caleb. You always have like the consistent, like the consistency of your conciseness is insane. It's unmatched. No one can do that. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the right words, but Caleb always gets right to the point and says exactly what it always perfectly conveys exactly what he's trying to say. So well done. Good on you. I just realized I actually didn't give my take on anything. I started with Emma. We've gone all the way around. And I haven't even said.
Yeah,
what
Gabe.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your take, Gabe?
I'm so glad you asked. The rest of the show is going to be me just ranting. No, here's the thing. On paper, this should not be a good episode. Period. If this was in season 1, we'd be dumping on it. Honestly, I think we would. The only thing that saves this episode. It's not Baby Yoda. Honestly, I'm a little Baby Yoda'd out. He's cute. He's a cutie. Like,
you
he's a
can
cutie.
leave. You can get out of
here. You
here.
can leave. This is my
heist.
heist.
Baby Yoda on your hat.
I mean, he is cute. I'm just saying, don't overdo Baby Yoda. Okay. I still stick to I'll kick off the speculations here in a minute. I still think Baby Yoda's got to go away at the end of this season in some way, shape, or form.
You know what? I finally agree with you.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
I think this episode is awesome, but in like a low key type way. I play a lot of video games. You guys might know this. You might have known that about me.
What?
What
the heck?
This feels like a super interesting short side quest. Like you need to repair the Razor Crest. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to Navarro where you have friends? Great. It's like, okay, is Mando really quote unquote friends with anybody? I would argue his best friend. I would argue his best friend died because no one else has seen Mando's face except that IG unit.
Aww.
So, I would argue that his best friend is dead.
And he hates robots.
He hates droids. So,
or I thought you were talking about Quill for a second.
Yeah,
Me too.
I was thinking of.
yeah, no.
That was sad.
I have spoken.
But whenever he shows up to Navarro, it feels a little. I don't want to say jarring because that's the wrong word, but it feels like just so much different from what we've had before. It's like, oh yeah, some familiar faces. Here we go. And just to kind of take all of your takes and like kind of branch off of it, I like that they incorporated the blue guy. He's hilarious. Like I think it was interesting. And I think honestly the mix of personality is what saves this episode from being boring. They've taken all of the elements we've seen from other episodes and like the cool things we've seen from other stuff. Cara Dune does nothing for me, but I understand why she's there. You know, she's that kind of like, and pardon my French, but she's kind of that like BA female type that we see in media nowadays, and that's great. But she doesn't do anything for me personally. I see why people like her though. Chubbs cracks me up. I think it's hilarious that he's in this show. I love him. I love Carl Weathers, and honestly, Carl Weathers probably got the screenplay for this episode and was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? This is what you're giving me to work with," and he did a great job. Like, there was a lot of interesting things. At the end of the day, you're director of whatever you're doing. They say yes or no to everything. So costumes, plot, the writing, they have to say yes or no to it. So he's like, this is what you're giving me. They work with this thing. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, we got a pretty cool episode that's really just glorified filler, but it still works in a lot of ways. And honestly, what's kind of funny to me is a lot of The Mandalorian seems to be glorified filler, even in the first season.
Thank you.
But
Yes.
it still works somehow. It's because they have top-notch story and they have top-notch directing in a lot of ways. In terms of some things that I didn't like, there just wasn't a lot going on in this episode. The best thing about this episode was kind of getting the Snoke cloning facility. That's what we got in terms of like interesting. But everything else was just kind of like, okay, here's another filler episode, I would still argue it's still some of the best filler you're going to see on television. It kind of feels like each of these episodes kind of continue to feel like Freak of the Week a little bit, where we're tackling nothing really connects to the next episode. Everything is isolated to one episode, which is fine. They do a really good job of doing that, but I wish I want to go back to the Marshal on Tatooine. You know what I mean? Like I want to see some connecting episodes, and I want to see an overarching plot. It was kind of cool to see them bring in those X-Wing fighters again, from the second episode and stuff like that. Or I guess, yeah, it was the second episode. And it was super interesting to learn that, yeah, Baby Yoda's blood is potentially what could be the driving force in making Snoke's body work. So super interesting all around. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on this episode. I think, in this point in time, we're kind of the back end of the episode. We're going to kick it off to our speculation. Here's my thing. I'll start this. I still think Baby Yoda gets abducted, or we find our hero in a sense of sadness because Baby Yoda has been kidnapped or something. At the end of this season, we will have, because you very much had a New Hope feeling at the end of the first season. It was like, oh, great. We will have a Empire Strikes Back feeling at the end of this season. And I think it's with Baby Yoda. We all love him. I mean, he's on my hat, for God's sakes. We all love him. I don't think he dies in this season, but I mean, my biggest speculation, and I will take this to the end of the season. We'll see what happens. Something is going to happen where we're going to be like, oh my God, what happened to Baby Yoda? And this is why I think this is going to happen. And this, honestly, like these takes from all these ladies really kind of make me think that this is going to happen. Zoe, not the hugest Star Wars fan. She loves The Mandalorian. She loves Baby Yoda. Selena, it's like, oh yeah, Baby Yoda's awesome, and I've heard, Emily talk about Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda is literally the thing that is keeping us all together in the Star Wars universe. It's like whether you love or hate the prequels, or whether you're the hardcorest of fan like me and love everything no matter what, or whether you're just kind of like, oh yeah, this is cool, and like you're just kind of casual. I feel like The Mandalorian is the thing that keeps us all together. And if you take that thing away, all of a sudden, all of us are talking about what's going to happen with Baby Yoda. So I'm sticking to my guns. I think we're going. Oh, Zoe, God bless you. You're raising your hand. Continue. Go ahead, please.
Just to go off that point, and I just thought of it, but to kind of confirm something will happen to the Baby Yoda, wouldn't we have seen or heard about him, you know, because the time frame of this movie is after the original trilogy, but before the newer movies that came out, right?
Yes.
I mean, how are they going to tie something as big as having another super force powerful Yoda in future stuff? Like,
You bring up really good.
Like,
yeah.
he would be a key character that if something doesn't happen to him, they're going to have to tie him into future stuff, I feel like, considering he lives basically forever or hundreds of years old.
Yeah, going along with that thought, I don't think anything. I agree with Gabe. I think something's going to happen to Baby Yoda this time. My biggest speculation from this episode was, yeah, Moff Gideon's going to get a hold of Baby Yoda. Something's going to happen with Baby Yoda. But I still don't think. I think this show will end with Baby Yoda being in a good place and us knowing 1,000 times more about him than we did in the beginning. And I do think that that's going to be a huge thing that they tie into in future Star Wars movies, shows, whatever. I do think that the child, whoever he ends up being, is going to be in new Star Wars stuff.
I love that take. Caleb, we're going to get to you really fast before I wrap up my speculation. To take both of your takes into consideration, I think we see this show, and this goes into the speculation. I think we have one more season of this show. We have 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi type feels in all 3 seasons. I think we get 3 seasons of this show. I think we know by the end of this show what race Yoda is, first of all, where he's from, what all that ties into, because about that time, if they wrap The Mandalorian up next year or the year after that, we are right smack dab in the middle of a brand new mythos of Star Wars called something called the High Republic, which Yoda is going to be a central character of the High Republic. No, that's wrong, Caleb?
Oh, I thought the High Republic was before all of this.
It is, but Yoda's 900 years old. And Yoda's been...
Oh, you're talking about Yoda. I'm sorry. I got confused for a second.
So Yoda's going to be a central... Yoda himself is going to be a central figure in the High Republic, like as he's becoming a Jedi and like he's like a new master and that type of thing. I think that will make Yoda's character, because Yoda's cool, obviously. What would make him 1,000 times cooler is if like we're starting from the beginning while Yoda's like 300 years old. He's a young pup, basically. We know so much more about him by the end of that. I think something at the end of The Mandalorian is going to tie in with with the High Republic somehow. So that's kind of what leads me to believe, that we're going to finally figure out where the Yoda species is from, in some way, shape, or form. But in terms of this season specifically, I think Yoda is going to get abducted, or the child is going to get abducted some way, shape, or form. So I'll leave it to that. Caleb, what's your take? I know you wanted to say something. Continue. That's my speculation.
Yeah, not to go too far in reverse, but no, just going back to kind of Zoe's point. I think that there's a lot of things they could do, and we've seen in the Star Wars universe, especially in like the expanded universe and the animated stuff, there's a lot of force sensitives out there besides just Jedi and Sith. Like, there's a lot out there. Star Wars universe is a big universe, and I do think, like, to go along with Emma's point, he's going to end up somewhere good, whether that's with Ahsoka or something.
I would love that, by the way.
Yeah, that could be interesting, or it could be. You have to remember too, not to spoil the end of Rebels. Like, Ahsoka's in the midst of a search for another Jedi, Ezra Bridger. And from what we know, there's no tie-in between them and Luke. We know that around this time, Luke is starting up like his own like Jedi like academy and temple. Right. Yeah, so like there's a lot going on around this time that's not very like clarified. And I don't think that they want to necessarily kill off Baby Yoda, especially when he's 50 years old, which means he's aging so slowly that you could jump this timeline 100 years into the future and you'd still have Baby Yoda in his prime. So I think it's a good character that they can eventually, even if it's like 10 or 15 years later, if they want to go, farther down the timeline in Star Wars and take it 100 years into the future, they already have an established character there that they can go to and people are familiar with. And I think that might be kind of what they're trying to do.
I agree with that, Caleb. I think we're setting up the child to be one of the new main characters. If anyone's going to die, it's going to be the Mandalorian. Mark my words. If anyone dies, the Mando will be dead. If they're trying to kill somebody, it'll be him. Because it'll hit hard, but we'll also have a New Hope type feeling. Because that's George Lucas says Star Wars is based off of one simple idea: hope. That's what it's about. It's like in the midst of like where do we find ourselves in this like sadness? Hope is where we come back to. That's the whole central theme of Star Wars. So that's my like take if we're gonna kill someone. Or Mikey, you were, I could tell you want to say something. Speculation, go for it.
I mean, just to back up what you guys are talking about, I mean, that timeline lines up because in 50 years, Baby Yoda will be 100 years old. That's when Yoda started training Jedi, was when he was 100 years old. So if we do jump forward 50 years and it's past all the new Star Wars, and then like that's all in like full swing, I think that would be dope, Mm-hmm. But I could easily see that being the next trilogy that they keep talking about that they want to start in a couple years after they have an Obi-Wan and a Boba Fett story, and you learn about all these things. But I have not a hot take. I have a idea of what's going to happen to Baby Yoda, because I've been hearing things online and it makes total sense to me, but I haven't heard this yet, but I put it together myself. I feel like they're going to do kind of like the bait and switch with Baby Yoda. 100% he's going to go missing. Something's going to happen to where he's gone. And then I feel like since they just dropped the clone thing on you, like I feel like they're going to be like looking for him or try to get him back. And then they're going to see they're going to hear something about the cloning being a success and them getting their M count like they were talking in this episode. And they're going to think it's Baby Yoda, but then it's going to be another Jedi or another Force user, Mace Windu, I think, possibly. But dude, could you imagine? But I think they're gonna bait and switch it, and then because I personally think it's Mace Windu. Hear me out, because he's been gone this long, and they finally found him, and like he's like to the point of death probably if they do find him, but then they rescue him. And then he's alive still, but then they get Baby Yoda back because maybe he's dying and they can't make it work or something. I don't know. I think that'd be so dope, but that's like so far from happening. Probably just in my hot of hots. I want that to happen.
That'd be crazy if it was something else other than, or if they find a different donor than.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Zoe, do you have any hot takes while we're there? Speculation.
I'm curious. It's a minor thing, but I am really curious about Cara Dune's story arc. I think they built her up to be somebody we care about and are interested in. So I think they're going to carry that through. Yeah, and just seeing where it goes. It ended on a cliffhanger for sure. So I'm ready for the next episode.
I like that. I like that take. That's good. I like that you're a Cara Dune fan. I'm glad someone's a fan of her. Let's throw it to the Tuckers really quick. Tuckers, do you guys have any speculations? Anything that you're like, I think this might happen, or anything?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
I feel like maybe there's another Baby Yoda or child. Just because, why is your face like that? Just because they were like, oh, this transmission's only 3 days old, and they're talking about still doing stuff. So I'm like, do they have another source that they're getting it from? Or do they just have all this built up blood or whatever from him? You know what I mean? Like, do they have multiple childs? I don't know.
If they're already experimenting with cloning, maybe that's where Baby Yoda came from. Well, I mean, I guess he's 50 years old at that point, so that wouldn't make sense. But
maybe they made a clone of Baby Yoda.
Yeah, maybe they have a clone of Baby Yoda. Maybe.
Who knows?
What if Baby Yoda is just a clone of Yoda?
Yeah, that's true too.
What if Yoda is a clone of Yoda?
What if Yoda's clone is a clone of Yoda?
Or I just had a thought. What if there's only one of Yoda's race and it's just him, and when he dies, a new one comes up.
Like
dragons?
reincarnation.
Yeah, and then there's
Doctor
only
Who.
one. There's always only one.
Dude, that'd be dope. I actually love that idea.
That'd be kind of crazy, actually.
I do want to hear Rex's speculation on Snoke, the whole Snoke thing.
Well, just speculation in general.
Okay, so my sister sent me a tweet, and obviously they did have some like Snoke type of music in on that during that scene with the lab and everything. So I think that's good speculation on that. But also at the end of the episode, we see some black armor with Moff Gideon, which could allude to dark troopers, which are force sensitive like stormtroopers. So there's talk about that being the outcome of their experiments. So they're kind of leaving it like up in the air. But that could be another route they take with those experiments.
That's true too. Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's so much. Like Caleb said, there's so much. You could go anywhere.
Yeah,
really anywhere. And I'm like, dark troopers, death troopers. Like, there's a lot of different things that. So yeah, that's good speculation.
If they do that, it would be really interesting because that's from old like legends. That's not really canon yet. So
Right.
It would be interesting to see that. I think that'd be really cool. Also really cool if they tie Snoke in with it. So both of those options I think they're just setting it up so good.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with you, like maybe in the new trilogy we do see the child or something.
He's going to be a focal point of Star Wars at some point in time. Like,
yeah, he'll be in something, right?
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
For sure. If they kill Mikey was talking the other day, like if they were going to kill him, if they do that, that is literally the biggest waste of time of all time in Star Wars. Literally, if they kill Yoda, if they kill Baby Yoda, that is dumb. That is bad writing. Period.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, it won't. No way.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe at the end of this, maybe he does get stolen, like you said, and Mando teams up with Ahsoka and they get him back or whatever. Maybe they do eventually deliver him to his race, and that's where it leaves off. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Mikey, what do you think about dark troopers being a possibility?
Like dark force user like troopers?
Yeah, so at the end we see like the black armor, and some people are thinking it's possibly dark troopers, which are force sensitive stormtroopers.
Ooh.
They're from Legends, and they're from some video games.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. They have been like dipping in and out of like of the books and stuff. I don't know. I feel like that'd be too much personally. If what would be cool though, I mean, like to me, maybe they're like leftover clones, and maybe they're like, I don't know. They couldn't be that. What's that? What was the thing from Clone Wars? Like the Dirty Dozen or whatever they were called? Bad Batch. Like maybe they're like Bad Batch esque, except they're the head honcho guy. Man, there's so many names in the show. I keep forgetting all of them.
For real, I know.
But you know who I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see him being force sensitive because I feel like they're trying to kind of distance themselves from force and make it more about the people. So that'd be dope.
A little bit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we see the child use the force.
Yeah, I
And
feel like
they're
they're using it as
definitely-
like, Go ahead.
they're
Sorry.
they're definitely trying to make something a force user. So whether it's Snoke or these stormtroopers, dark troopers, it makes me excited to see what is going to happen and where they go with that. So
I had a thought too.
that's-
Whenever I saw that armor, I was like, what if somehow like whatever's left over of that like battalion of, whether it's death troopers or force sensitive troopers, whatever, what if the remnants of that end up being the Knights of Ren? Like, I don't know. And I was like, it's probably not likely, but it would have.
That's a good one.
It would be kind
Wouldn't
of
they-
cool.
Wouldn't they be super old?
Yeah, and
Would
I
be.
thought that Luke says in Last Jedi that I'm pretty sure he says that the Knights of Ren were some of his pupils that went with
With
Kylo after Kylo attacked
Gotcha.
Luke.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, and now that you say that, there's a comic that basically explains Kylo Ren's entire story. It's called The Rise of Kylo Ren. And I actually just remembered that there's a couple of people there. They're like, you know what? Maybe you're right. And they're not like super, they're force attuned, but they're not like super strong with the force. So yeah, that's actually that. I'm an idiot. So I'm sorry.
Sorry to poop all over that.
No, it's okay. And while we're there, could we hear your guys' speculation to wrap this episode up?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty lost throughout most of your guys' speculations. Most of those names went over my head. But I like what Zoe said about the Dune chick. I definitely feel like this episode made us like curious about her past more. About like, oh, all of her family died? What? Oh, like I definitely feel like they like perked her interest for some sort of reason.
Well, yeah, like the fact that she was a shock trooper before, and like now the rebellion's trying to recruit her. I just dropped my phone. Sorry about that.
She'll probably end up being like some sort of like captain or in charge of a force. I don't know. She seems very authoritative.
That would be cool. That'd be
Or
great.
maybe she just farms ferrets and raises those.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's kind of weird. Caleb, what do you
That
got?
was weird.
Yeah, so I'm gonna reel it in a little bit and just kind of try to contain it just to within this season, what I think we'll see. Because I don't think we've super touched on that too much. I think we're gonna get Ahsoka very, very soon. Within the next episode or two, at the most. I think that what this is leading to, probably not in the finale, but I think even before the finale, we might get a duel between Moff Gideon and Ahsoka with the Darksaber, because Gideon's coming after Mando, and we know that Mando's going to where Ahsoka is. And that, I don't think that would be the first time that Ahsoka would be going up against somebody that's wielding the Darksaber. So that'll be really, really cool to see on a whole lot of levels, if that actually happens. And I think that we're going to end up probably at the end of the season with probably back on Mandalore with probably quite the team up and quite the clash between the troopers that we saw at the end of this episode, and then kind of with the whole crew that we're seeing mount up, whether it's, Cara Dune and Chubbs or Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians. We're seeing this huge crew, and we know it's only going to get bigger because eventually they're going to run into Ahsoka, and who knows who might be with Ahsoka. That crew is only going to get bigger, but we're also seeing on the opposite side, you have Moff Gideon. We don't know what Boba Fett is or where he stands in all of this. Now that we have all of those troopers who, I'm kind of with Rex, I think those could end up being like force sensitive troopers like that. And to have them kind of all clash on a setting such as Mandalore, that would be an amazing and epic way to kind of close out the season. And, to go with your point, Gabe, about, kind of in this season ending on a low point with maybe the child getting lost or stolen or disappearing or whatever, I think that might be tough, but I could also see them doing it. And I think that would be a great way for them to close out after an epic battle like that. And I also think that we're kind of starting to hint at, we're getting into how the First Order is coming about. And I think that Moff Gideon is going to be a central character to that. And, the Rebel pilot kind of hinted at it as like, there's something going on out here in the Outer Rim, and we need people out here to support us because we know that something is coming. And we know that the New Republic, ends up kind of forming into this resistance that's fighting the First Order. And we don't really know how exactly the First Order comes about, but we're starting to see kind of it. So it'll be cool to see how they're able to kind of flesh that all out. And I think we have a lot of good stuff coming or to look forward to, even just in the next few episodes. It's going to be awesome.
I love that, and we're gonna close the speculation out with you, Caleb. So if anyone had any points, sorry, but we need to wrap it up. A huge criticism I had with the new trilogy, and that a lot of people had, was we don't know where the First Order comes from. If the Mandalorian is that thing to give us that story, and give us at least just more of an idea of where that comes from, that's huge. So I love that take. I love everything you just said. And, it makes me, this season is way better. Like the second season is way better than the first season in terms of where we're going. I think there was a lot of speculation and just a lot of newness with the first season, but I feel like we kind of have, you kind of look at a puzzle and you have an idea of where things could go, but you don't know until you start inserting those pieces. And I think that's kind of where we're all at right now. We're looking at that puzzle and we have a broad idea of how everything fits together, but some of it may be wrong. So, it's going to be interesting what happens, in the next few episodes. But you guys, I hate to cut us off there because there's a lot more we could talk about, but we have to, and I'm sorry.
Are we gonna give ratings or no?
Yeah, let's really fast. Let's just give like a quick rating between all of us. I'll start out. I think this episode's an 8 out of 10. What do you think, Emma?
Okay. I know you said to be quick, but I have just one more thing to say.
Okay, quick.
I'm sorry.
Because I have another podcast in like 5 minutes.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll be quick. I know. I feel like after this episode and the last episode, I feel like for some reason I am going against the grain with like my thoughts and feelings on certain things. Like last week, everyone loved the episode. I liked it, but struggled with it in certain ways. And then this episode, I felt like I really loved this episode, and I was surprised that everyone else was like, oh, it was just okay. Like it was good, but it was okay. Because for me, like I love this episode because I got to see characters again that I had seen previously in this show. I got to see the Mandalorian's character develop like in big ways. And we got to see the whole Snoke thing, which was really interesting to me. So I don't know. I would not consider this a filler episode like a lot of filler episodes I've seen in this show. So anyways, I'm giving this a 9.5. Say what you want. I liked this episode a lot. So that's high praise. I'm sorry. That's just my take.
You don't have to apologize. That's what's great about this podcast. Like there's no reason to apologize. You know what I mean? Like you own your opinion. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right. So a 9.5 out of Emma and 8 for me. Let's start with the Collins. What do you guys give it?
I have a hot take for the wannabe critic guys. Just listening to your shows, you guys rate stuff way too highly. Like for being critical, you guys rate everything very, very high.
But we're not critical. That's the whole point. Is like
NMB to the title.
I don't know. Anyway, I give this one a 6. It was fine.
Whoa.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
with you though. I'm with you.
I think that's a high rating. So
God, what's a 10 for you?
Good God. I would say like Schindler's List. Like you want every episode to feel like Nazi drama. I mean, good Lord. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, that's good criticism. Hot takes all around. Hot takes like hotcakes. Mikey, what's your score?
I like the tie-ins. I think the Three Amigo like team up was better than you guys were saying. I actually kind of enjoyed it. It wasn't amazing, but I'd probably give it like 7 guardrails out of 10. And it's a solid episode. I mean, it's entertaining. It's Mandalorian. I love it, but yeah, I don't know. There's just not much I can say about it because I don't hate it, but I could literally just forget about over half of this episode and be totally fine, But I think that's most of Mando, so it's hard to say that because I like what you were saying earlier, how you feel like it's all filler. I feel like they're drip feeding Star Wars fans because they can be so toxic sometimes. So when they give you too much information, everybody hates it. But then when they drip feed it, like people seem to like it more, And I think they're doing a really good job with it. But I don't think this is one of the best episodes by any means. But it's still good.
7 out of 10, solid. The Tucker family. What do you guys think?
7.
Okay, 7.
Well, he said he needs to keep it quick. I'm respecting your wishes. 7.
7. No, that's great. What do you think, Rex?
I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because I freaking love The Mandalorian and it's awesome. So yeah, it was a great episode, and I really agree with what you said earlier, Gabe. It just being, it it should have been a bad episode, like you said, but because of just all the information that they gave us, and some of the scenes, like it just made it so great. So yeah.
Well said. Well worded. Way to go. Let's throw it to the Henley family. What do you guys think?
I agree with Zoe. I feel like for an episode to be a 10, it has got to be perfect. Like, so I think anything above a 5 is good. So I'd say 6.5, 7. Like, is good. Not great.
Good, though. Like, yeah, that's a solid score, I think. Like, that's like passable. Like, it's more than passable. It's not just like, yeah, it was fine. It was like, yeah, it did its thing.
Yep.
So, well said. Well put. Thank you for coming on the show. That was great. Caleb, what do you think?
8.5. I mean, simply, it's a solid episode of my favorite TV show right now. So yeah, 8.5.
So across the board, I think no one gave this episode a bad score, which is amazing. So there you go.
I think 6 is pretty bad.
I feel like 5 is exactly middle, so everything above 5 has got to be good.
If you guys rated things correctly, you would know it's above average. So can I just challenge the guys to a rating under 5, like once maybe?
Why do you think it's impossible for me to like this show as much as I do?
We only talk about things we enjoy, like literally. You know, next week we're gonna give it ones.
Maybe sometime we should watch and critique Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Then we could give something below a 5.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's probably not gonna happen because I don't do clowns.
Just because we love this show so much. That's what it is.
That's what it is. You got to give, but you know we're still critical. You critique you're critical of the things you love. So there you go. But I still think we've given things not great scores in the past. So there you go. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys all so much for your time. We do have to wrap up this episode. I wish we could go on longer. I have a lot more to say actually, but we're actually going to tie it off there. So the Collins family, the Tucker family, and the Henley family, thank you guys so much. It was a lot of fun. Before we go this evening, I just want to give a quick shout out to Raise Energy. They're the only reason, not the only reason, but a big reason why I can spaz out almost every single week is because I just get like jacked off of this stuff. Like literally a couple sips and you're off to the races. I'm not even kidding you. So I drank this before we got started. It was great. I love them. If you use my code, _wannabecritic, you're going to get 15% off whatever you buy. So there you go. Give it a shot. Raise Energy. It's from reppsports.com. Make sure you're tuning in each week because we talk about a lot of stuff. This Thursday, we will actually be tackling X3, X-Men United. Haven't watched it yet, so I can't remember, exactly how it is, but I kind of remember I didn't like it whenever I was a kid, so that's usually a bad sign. So there you go. But tune in. We got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff down the pipeline, and we're just super excited. So next week we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming. The usual format. But this was fun. I'm glad we did this. So thank you guys all very much again for your time, and you as the listener, thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. We will see you next time. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Coke isn't better.
It is.
It is.